Hello, welcome to Simply Made Homestead. I'm Andrew. Are you tired of having to fight with your tomatoes and diseases and bugs? We are too, especially down here in the south in Florida with the humidity. We get a lot of diseases and bugs. So what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you a new way to grow your tomato plants that will prevent that. And it will help eliminate that and make your tomatoes grow tomatoes, not just leaves and fungus. So I'm going to go step by step on how to grow a tomato trellis. All right, come along with me, let's go. So the first thing you're going to notice is I've already built my boxes. I just used some 2x6s, 8 feet long by 3 feet wide. And of course you can make them however you want. And here I'm digging the hole for the post. I'm using 4x4 posts. If you look at the bottom here, or look here, it's like a bell shape or an A-frame, and basically what that does is allows the concrete to get better grip, more of a counterweight. Here I'm just measuring, getting the right height for the 4x4s and using a post line level. One thing when you dig the holes, it's usually easier to dig it where it's a little bit high. It's easier to pound it down just a little bit with the post hole, especially in the Florida sand that we have. All right, so right here I'm using, once you get in position, just mount it in. I use 3 screws. These are 3-inch screws. Now you're ready for concrete. But before you put the concrete in, you want to saturate the base there, get it wet. That will help with the concrete because obviously you want to add the water in there, but it just makes mixing it easier and better. You can see I'm using some quick setting concrete. It says within 30 minutes. As you can see throughout my video though, I'll explain. I just went ahead and I waited a little bit longer. I waited the next day to put any upper supports, work the upper half of the poles. I just wanted to make sure it was set really well. You want to be careful not to put too much water over it. It really comes into a soupy, your concrete will be really soupy and it loses a lot of its strength. So, and it's important to kind of aerate it and mix it up a little bit. So this is me digging a hole again, and fast forward. Again, lining it, leveling it, making sure it's aligned with the other 2 that we have. I used about 3/4 a bag per hole on each of those. Now I was waiting for the concrete to heal or to cure, and so I went ahead and just put in some compost in the beds right there. All right, so the first thing I'm doing here is on the top is I'm putting these brackets in here. These brackets, as you're going to see in the future, they're just there to support the main beams that hold the trellis together. And I'm using a 2x4, that spare 2x4 on top as a spacer, as a guide. And then I'm putting a string line to add for the third, know right exactly where the third one is. That way the board goes on evenly, nice and straight. You can see here I had to use a support piece there for that 2x4s going across there, the horizontal 2x4s there, just to help secure it and hold it. Again, I'm just using 3-inch decking screws or 3-inch screws, construction screws to hold it on each end. So you can see the horizontal board there, it actually is doubled up. So you have to use an 8-inch screw to go in through both the boards and into that 4x4 post there. You can pick that up at your local hardware store. Here I'm taking down these cross members here. You can keep them up there if you want for added strength and support. Okay, so here we go. We're putting on the cross members here. You can see that I have a string going on there. That string goes from the very first one to the very last cross board there. Each of these boards are spaced 1 foot apart. Now, right now I'm putting the screw in, and it'll be kind of, if you notice, look close there, that each screw goes, I have one on each side, and they go down at a pretty steep angle. And what that does is that prevents it from cantering, like flipping to more on one side or the other. Now, one thing when you put the board up and you're using that string, you want to place that string right on the end. You don't want it to touch the string, otherwise it'll skewer it a little bit. But you want a gap there, probably about an 1/8 inch, the thickness of a credit card. All right, see how I'm just doing one on each side? There we go. All right, and again, each of those is spaced 1 foot apart. Now, if you happen to notice, what I'll do is I'll do one screw. I'll get it lined up with the string. And I'll put in one screw, and then I'll use this level right here. And that way, to make sure it's square with everything, and then I'll screw in that second screw. Now, I can't do it on camera because one hand's holding the camera, and I need one hand to hold that square. So. All right, so here we're going to be putting in the eye hooks. Now, if you notice that these are a full circle, I wouldn't suggest using a S hook or an open face one. And that right there is just a 1/16 inch drill bit. That'll pre-drill it. All right, so you see that string there? That's the same string as I had on the outside. I just moved it in on the middle. It's about 6 inches in from that horizontal 2x4. So I'm just pre-drilling the holes right now to make it a whole lot easier to screw in screw in those hooks. Of course, my battery died on the very last one. That's all right. There's always backups. So that pre-drilling sure makes it a whole lot easier. If you have a young kid at the house or an older kid, this is a great time for them to help them participate. They can screw those in. So I didn't tie any fancy knots. I just made a loop and put the loop in through the hole there, and then ran the string through that loop, pulled it through like so. Made it really easy. One thing I noticed after doing several is I just put the box right where it's at and made a mark, and I pulled the string out to it and cut a whole bunch at one time. Kind of like a little factory. So Marion here, she's putting in her tomato. If you notice that the tomato is actually horizontal. So she didn't put it in all the deep down like that. She put it in horizontal. That stem will on that stem, as it has contact into the ground, it will actually produce roots. Now she just, at the bottom of the string, she is simply using a garden stake. And she's going about an inch or so away from the base of the plant, and then just tying a knot, not to the plant, but to the string itself to keep it fastened. Bless her heart, she's doing a great job there. It's hard to tie knots when you got gloves on. Well, and that's it. She's almost done with this row. She'll be working on the other, but this is a tomato trellis. So the plant will grow on up, and we will show you future videos of the plants as they grow up.
Okay. That's it. Just a stick. There we go.
Well, that's it. You can see that Marion's got all the tomatoes already planted in there and some complementary plants to go with the tomatoes. And it really doesn't take that long. And with this process, you'll be able to snip and grow, and the plant will grow on up, and it will produce tomatoes and not just leaves and fungus and diseases. And it'll be very beneficial to the plant and ultimately to you too. I hope you got some value out of this video. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. So thank you again for watching. So take care and God bless.